Hello. So in this video, I'm going to go over how to set up a VST piano or any kind of VST, but for me, I'm doing this for piano lessons in such a way that you can route it into Zoom or Skype or any video chat of your choice. For me, I'm using this for piano lessons or music lessons in general, but you can use this for many things. Maybe you're a teacher, maybe you're a student, maybe you just want to jam with people, but also be able to do other things. Another part of this video is going to be OBS, how to set that up and what's involved with that. Just covering some basics. Hope this helps you. So first of all, let's go over how to get your audio into Zoom or Skype or whatever video chat of your choice. Oh, and I should mention it's audio that's both from the VST and also at the same time from this keyboard. So as you can probably hear, I'm able to talk to you with my microphone, but I can also play on the keyboard. And I also have like this secondary view, which I'll go into later. So the software I use for that is this, VoiceMeeter. It's spelled with 2 E's, 3 E's, 4 E's even. And I'm just going to go over what all this kind of means. So there's 2 hardware inputs, a virtual input and a hardware output. The hardware input is connected to my audio interface, my Steinberg audio interface. And anything that's sort of plugged into this interface, which right now is this microphone, and there's some other stuff like my synthesizer, but for now I'm just using the microphone, that ends up in this channel. As you can see while I'm talking, the levels are going up and down. And what's happening is that this hardware input gets mapped out to this output, and any piece of software can treat this output as if it was a microphone. So like in Skype or Zoom, or even a DAW, a DAW, you can just select VoiceMeeter as your microphone, and it'll pick everything up from all 3 of these inputs. So this second input is the exact same as the first one. It just offers a secondary space in case you want to separate things out. And this third one is special. It's the virtual input. Virtual input acts like a speaker. So pieces of software, like this one here, Piano Text Stage is what I'm using. You can select VoiceMeeter, virtual ASIO, I'll call it, as your output device. And that goes in as if it was listening to it, like just like my microphone here, but instead it's coming from the software, and then this can be any software, and that gets routed into my hardware out. So if I play something, like, as you can see, my audio is getting mapped into my output. So yeah, anything like when I'm using Zoom or Skype or whatever, both the sound from my input and from my virtual input are being heard because both of them are getting routed into my hardware out. And then in Zoom here, which I'll do a test call just to show you. There's no video right now, but I'll cover that in a second. If I go to my audio settings, what I would want to select as the speaker doesn't matter, because right now I would use my interface because I want the audio from Zoom to go directly into my interface. But my microphone, I want it to come from this VoiceMeeter output, which is exactly this, right? It's going to be all those things that are being routed into it. And that enables the other person to be able to hear both the piano and the microphone all in one. So let's cover what some of the buttons on this do. So of course we have our levels. There's mono, which for my microphone, I only have one microphone, so I'm going to use mono. This one has 2 channels, so I don't use mono. The A here is for monitoring. So if I click this, now I can hear myself talk. It's a little disorienting, but yeah, now I'm able to hear myself talk, and that can be useful in some cases. Maybe you have headphones or something. You just want to be able to hear yourself because otherwise your own voice is muffled. And then this B here is routing it to the actual hardware out. Oh, I just realized maybe you weren't able to hear that because I'm actually using this when recording. But basically, as I just demonstrated, when this was off, you weren't able to hear what was happening because it was no longer going to the virtual out. And then, of course, we have solo and mute. I think those should be self-explanatory. And then audibility is like a limiter where like the audio won't, the microphone won't start picking up until it hits a certain threshold. You can turn this up to make it a higher threshold or down to nothing if you just want it to pick everything up. And then this is if you want to tweak it. As you can probably hear, it sounds a bit different now. But I like to leave it at the default. So I think that covers all the features that you would need here, or at least the ones that I use. Let's go into the menu. So there's a lot here, but I'll cover just the things that I use. So this patch ASIO input to strips, what this does is just it sends different inputs to this input channel. So my Steinberg interface, it has 4 inputs, right? I can plug 4 things in. So for this first one, I want inputs 1 to 2. This is a range, so I can say 1 to 5 if there were 5. But I'm going to leave it at 1 to 2. That would go here, and then my 3rd and 4th input are going into this channel. So if I start playing around with my synthesizer, that can also be heard, and it's just separated out so I can like tweak the audibility or whatever. So that's what that is. And then the buffer here. This you might want to tweak if you get any kind of lag or anything like that. I'm using it at 256. That's what works for me. But if you have a better computer, maybe you can go lower. If you have a not as good computer, you can go higher. It'll add a tiny bit of latency, but it's on the millisecond scale. It might not be noticeable for you. And there is one caveat that I'll mention, which is with Focusrite devices specifically. Those devices do have some issues. I looked into this, and pretty much the problem is that the way they coded their ASIO, SEO configuration, I guess, or like how it's done, apparently it's not totally in sync with the standard way that ASIO works. And like, so this software uses ASIO, and it tries to sync itself up with whatever ASIO input you're giving it. However, Focusrite devices, it's hard to sync with them in terms of ASIO because of their just the way that it's done. And from what I gathered, just reading on forums, I don't think there's any plans to fix that. So there is a workaround, however, though, and that's to just use a kind of strange sample rate. So, and I believe the one that worked was 384 and then also 96, which you can't select here, but at the end of the video, I'll show you how to edit that if you want to do that. Otherwise, most other devices that follow the standard format for ASIO, they will work across the board with any sample rate. So yeah, so that covers that. Let me think, anything else? The DAW. So yeah, and like I said, this could also be used directly in your DAW. So like I'm using this as a standalone application, which works for me. But if you have like a VST that needs to be loaded in a DAW, you can just set your DAW to output to this virtual input, and then that'll get routed here, and you can plug that into Zoom or Skype. So yeah, that covers that. Now I'm going to cover OBS and how I set that up to work with Zoom. So here we go. Here's OBS. I'll cover a few basics for OBS as well. But the first thing is virtual cam. So there's a plugin for OBS, which I'll link in the description, which basically just allows OBS to be used as a webcam in other applications. Kind of similar to VoiceMeeter, but more on the video side. So let's just take a look at what that looks like. Where'd it go? Virtual cam. So you go to, after you install it, which I believe it's on the page that you that I'll link below. It'll just be either a direct download or a link to a page where you can download it, something like that. You just install it and then you restart OBS. It'll show up in your tools. So the way that works is you just open this and you hit start, right? And you'll have to do this every time you launch OBS, unless you have auto start selected. And once it's started, you can select it, and as you can see here in my Zoom, it's showing up with my video. And if I look at what I'm using, it's OBS-camera. There is OBS virtual camera, which comes with OBS, but that is something else. See, if I select it, I'm not even sure what it is, to be exact. I haven't been able to get that working, but you know, I figured out this works just fine. So OBS camera is what I use. If you have this stopped, it just shows up as a gray screen. So you just have to remember to hit start. And just to show you what I mean, so if I go into OBS and I switch to piano, there you go. You can see in Zoom, it also switched to piano. So yeah, basically anything that you do in OBS will show up in Zoom, which is handy when you're doing lessons, because you can have on one screen, you can talk, and then on the other screen you have your piano, just like that. So yeah. So now I'll cover some of the basics to, let me just close Zoom here, some of the basics to OBS, in case you don't know how it works. So I use OBS Studio. I know there's another one called OBS Streamer or something like that, and I haven't used it myself, but I got a quick look at it because my brother uses it, and it looked more complicated and less intuitive to me. I mean, it looked like it was similar, but way more fancy, like the colors. It works just fine for me. And in terms of OBS Virtual Cam, I think it works for both, but you know, worst case, if you can't get it working for the other OBS, try this one. So, how do I get this fancy double camera angle, and how do I switch between scenes and all that? Well, let's create a new scene collection, and I'll tell you, or show you. So scenes, first of all, before I do that, scenes are kind of what you see here, right? It's a scene. It's a collection of, or it's a set template for an image, right? And then sources is like the actual camera elements. So like here I have my face camera. You can see it highlighted in green. And then here I have my piano camera, right? So those are my sources. And then a scene collection is if you want, like if I want to be able to change everything down here, so it's like a different setup, I can save that, right? So here is my music lessons one that you're looking at, but I also have one for gaming, for example, one on occasional game. And since I have a setup for recording, I might as well record some of it. So I do that, and I talk and I, add commentary. It's fun. So yeah, I'm gonna create a new one though, and let's call it tutorial. I'm gonna call it demo, but tutorial probably works better. So there we go. I've created it. Let me just confirm. Yeah, okay. I have a second one open. That's the one that I'm using to record this video, but you'll only need the one. Okay, so I've created my new scene collection, and so the first thing I'm going to want to do is add a source, right? So I go to add, and you'll see all these options, right? Since VoiceMeeter is handling all the audio, I'm not going to worry about any of this audio here. Really, probably what you're going to want to use is a video capture device, which is essentially a web camera. So I select video capture device, create new. I'll call this one face cam, which is my the camera for my face. There we go. You can see I have several options here. I have my face camera, and then I have my piano camera. So I'll select my face camera for now. I'll hit OK. And then there we go. The quality isn't as good because I think I'm using it at the same time as in another place, in this other OBS. It's loaded up. But for the sake of showing, it should be fine. So there we go. I've added it, and pretty intuitively you can click and drag it, do whatever you want with it. And that's my scene, right? And then say I want to now add a second scene, right, which is another camera angle. So I go to add, right click add, and then for now I won't name it, or actually, you know what, it's probably good to name it. So I'll call it piano scene, or just piano's fine. So there we go. I have my piano. I go to add. I'm going to add another video capture device. And then let's add my secondary camera here. And there you go. As you can see, there's my video, my second video. And then here, I don't like the name scene, so I can right click that and go to rename. And then I can call it face. And there we go. I have two scenes now, my face and my piano. So now let's say I want to add a little preview of my face on the actual piano page, which I find useful because in my lessons, sometimes I need to play something and then immediately talk and then play and talk. And having to switch back and forth between the cameras sometimes is a hassle. So it's nice to just have a little preview there in case you need to look up or something. And your teacher can see you. So let's go to piano. And I could add a new source here. But actually what's better to do is copy this source and paste it. That way we're using the same reference and it's not trying to create a secondary capture of the camera. So you can either do that with Control-C, like any other copy, or you can right-click and copy. Then we go to piano, and I go to paste, and I'm going to paste our reference. Also Control-V works. And there we go, I've pasted it. So now I can shrink it and put it in the corner here. And there we go. Now I have this scene has both my face and my piano. So another thing I'll mention is if you want to layer it differently, like say I wanted my piano above, you can just drag this down and it will change the order of what images are on top of others. But I'm going to keep face cam over my other one, which I just realized the other one doesn't have a name. So let me rename it. Right click, rename, piano cam. And there we go. As you can see, my video cameras also have audio, which I don't need, so I'm going to cut those out. Or mute them, I guess is the right word. So yeah, I've got those two. One more thing. How do I zoom in on this face, right? It's kind of small. I want to see it really close. So, I mean, I could do this, but now it's covering most of the screen. So what you can do is transform it. To transform it, you can right click and go to transform, edit transform. Control E is also a shortcut for that. And now we have this information here. So I can crop it like this. I'm just using the arrow keys, I guess you can see there. But you can also type in numbers. I would say probably around there is good. Now let's crop this side. That's good. You know, this is going a little slow, so I'm going to type something in. That's fine. How about this one? That's okay. Let's try 100. Maybe a bit more. There we go. So now it's, whoops. Now it's nice and zoomed in, and I can increase it, and there you go. Now you get a nice close view of my face. And this works with any other source. I can do this with the piano. I can chop it up so it only shows the keys, for example, and not my desk and my body. But yeah, you can get pretty creative with that and set up some nice things. One more thing I'll show is let's create, actually, yeah, so under sources, you can go to add, and then you can go to window capture. There's also display capture will capture your entire screen, which I'm using right now in the other OBS to record this video. And I think if I do it here, it'll break that one. So I'm not going to use this, but I think window capture should be good. Let's find out. So I'm going to do window capture. I don't want VoiceMeeter, I want Piano Tech. I'm going to hit OK. There we go, I have my Piano Tech. Let me just take a quick look. Yeah, it looks like, oh, that's the wrong one. Okay, yeah, the video is still recording, so we're good. What might be nice is, say you're a teacher and you want to show off what you're playing, right? You can see the red notes there. And you can even see my pedal here, damper pedal. So what I can do is transform this, cut a lot of the top off, so like, well, let's say 400. That's pretty close, but let's go further. There we go. And then I can, you know, add it to the bottom of my screen. Something like this. My face is a bit out of the way, so I'm going to move it up here. And yeah, so now as I play, you can see the piano down below, but you also get to see it here. You also get to see my face. You can get creative with this. And then you're even able to copy and paste this piano here. Whoops, that's the wrong one. Yep. So window capture, copy, paste. There we go. And then, so now that's what that looks like. And let's increase the bounds. So let's say 300. And then the bottom, 100. Perfect. 300. Pretty close. And then the right side, 200, I'll guess. Nah, 250. Cool. That works. So now you can even see my pedal here. So as I play, you can see the pedal moving too, in case you need that. And this will work with any window. Say you have some music theory software that you need to show off. You can, you know, cut pieces of it and show, and, you know, the world is your oyster. I think that's the right phrase. So yeah, I think that covers pretty much everything. What else is there? There's got to be something. Let's see my notes. Right. So now this is probably going to be the end of the video for most of you. So thanks for watching. But if you are one of those people that uses focus rate and that 384 sample rate isn't quite working for you, there's another sample rate that seems to work for me sometimes. But to edit that, you have to go into your app data. A shortcut to do that is to go %app data %. And then you find VoiceMeeter default.xml. You can open it with Notepad, or I'm going to open it with Notepad++ though. And then under here where it says option dev right at the top, you have your ASIO sample rate. And I guess there's output here. I don't quite remember. I think maybe you have to edit both. But yeah, so you can set this to 96. I find 96 sometimes will work if your computer can handle 96. And multiples of 96 also works. But you know what? It's not consistent. With the Focusrite device, it's caused me a lot of grief. And sometimes it'll be working one day, and the next day you open it up again and it won't. It's still workable. You can use it, but I would say before each lesson, I would go through and validate that it's working fine. If it's not, if you are getting errors, and by errors I mean like stuttering in the audio, or like it'll randomly like clip out the audio, then try changing your sample rate and also restarting VoiceMeeter. You might have to do it a few times. You can test this as well by looking at the monitor output. So yeah, I think that is everything. I hope you find this useful. And if you have any questions, you know, I learned all this through trial and error. I learned a lot of stuff on, like, in terms of software through trial and error. So I might not have all the answers, but I might be able to help out with a thing here and there. So feel free to ask in the comments, and if I know the answer, I'll let you know. So thanks for watching, and have a good night.